Hi, my amazing planner friends. It's Jess from My Magical Planner. And usually about now, I'm doing Vlogmas. However, I know how my year is gone, and I don't want to commit to saying I'm going to have enough videos for Vlogmas out this year. What I am going to say is I'm going to try and put out as many this month as I can. That may end up being 10, that may end up being 20. We'll see. If you don't want to miss any of the videos I'll be putting out this month, go ahead and hit that subscribe button down there, and don't forget the bell notification because I'm not exactly sure on a schedule yet. With that all being said, I have come up with 30 different things that I need to do in order to make sure that my planning system is ready for the new year. And I also have a bunch of packages coming from various different places. So it's going to be a combination of the two of those things. If you do want to see that list of 30 different things to do, I have posted it in part on my dashboard page that I posted yesterday. I will try and do a better, more legible post on that. So if you want to join in and do some of the same things, you're welcome to. Today's task on my list, though, is to evaluate my current planner system. I think it's really important to look at how your current system is serving you and what changes do you need to make. And I've come up with, I think it's 14 or something questions here. Hold on, 11 questions to ask, and my answers to those questions to show you how I work through this process. Feel free to pause at any time if you need to answer these on your own to kind of figure out where you are in your own planning system process. The thing I have at the top here is what planners I'm currently using. So even though I went back and forth among, 3 or 4 different planners this year, the majority of my catch-all planner was in my Hobonichi Cousin. And that's the one I'm currently using. So that's the one that I'm using and evaluating here. So I have my Hobonichi Cousin. I have my work planner, which is an A5 sterling ink, essentially same layout as the Hobonichi Cousin, only instead of daily pages at the back, I have commonplace note pages. And then the only other planner I have here is my goal planner, which is my Moxie Life companion notebooks. So we want to evaluate how they're all working. So my first question is, how well do my planners support my current stage of life? So I've had planners that work during different times in my life because I have different needs at different times. As a busy mom, I need a certain amount of space. As a working person, I needed a different type of space. When I was in high school, I needed something else entirely. My current life stage is kind of one of transition. So I have 2 kids, one of which has transitioned out of the house. I have another one who's in his first year of college. He'll probably be staying here. We have several colleges within driving distance. I have 2 daughters that are in the high school realm. And so there's just a lot of change going on. So my planner needs to be able to reflect that. So what I said is overall, I think it was good. Is there room for improvement? Always. I did find that shifting planners really disrupts my system, and that because it takes me a while to settle into a planner. And then if I'm switching so often, it's hard for me to really get into my groove. So that was something that was really disruptive this last year. I also put down here that I have some format friction, which I'm going to be alleviating with the planner that I will be using this next year. But because of my ADHD, having the monthly, weekly, and daily pages so separated, I forget about where the other parts are, and I don't reference them or use them to their full capabilities, especially in my catch-all planner. So that is something I need to address in this coming year, and I found the perfect planner for that. So I did try out a planner this last year with that format and found it worked really well for me. So I'm excited to move into a different format that is going to accommodate my ADHD a little bit better. I didn't use the Moxie Life as much this year. Matter of fact, I've gone whole months without doing anything in there because I'm struggling a little bit with my life focus as all of these things are changing, and where do I want to be, and the changes in the political environment and the uncertainties around the economy and just all the things has made it really challenging for me to utilize my Moxie Life in the way that I have in the past. I think it's an amazing system. I want to stick with it. It's just, I need to tweak some things. I didn't write this down here, but I will say also for my work or social media planner, using my Sterling ink has worked amazing for me. It gives me a place to put in my schedule, to add daily to-dos, because I can do that in the weekly section, and then have an area to write my notes. So overall, yes, I love my system. Am I making some minor tweaks? Of course I am. We all are, right? The next question I have here is, what did I use and what did I forget? So this kind of goes with my ADHD thing. There are some pages in planners that I just don't get to. And I'll give you some examples. So I'm pretty consistent in here on my daily pages. Not always, but pretty consistent. I think in August I was in a different planner, honestly. But I pretty much use these uniformly, and I keep on going back to my Hobonichi because of these pages. So these are my daily pages, are kind of how I'm getting through, especially when things get really, really chaotic around here. So these are working great for me. My weekly pages are going pretty good overall. I would say I use them, but not as much as I could use them. And I think part of that is the process of flipping back and forth and what information needs to be on which section. And I think that's something I kind of need to cement a little bit firmer for myself so that I know what I'm using these for. Pages that I haven't really used in this planner. And part of this is me. So I don't often come back to my monthly spreads. I forget they exist. I'm going weekly to monthly. I have a digital calendar that is constantly changing, and I tend to rely on those to reference back to, opposed to this. With that being said, I do find this extremely helpful to have this set up because I can look at the month and see what's coming, opposed to just going week to week and writing it out and making sure I know what all the different things are is really helpful for the way my brain works. Now, some other pages that maybe could use some more work. I didn't use my perpetual calendar as much as I had hoped. I didn't do the reading journal. I started having issues with my eyes at pretty early on in the year, and then I just gave up on the whole aspect of reading between that and my anxiety spirals where I get in these cycles where I just need to know everything that's going on in the news, and then I don't make time for it, other things, and I need to get myself out of that. But I'm going to try and utilize these more this next year. I have lots of different ways I can. I'm actually going to be doing something different for reading because I do want to keep that habit. The perpetual calendar, I haven't come back to this as much as I would like to. I tried one way to use it. That didn't really work for me because I'm not coming back here. And so I need to really analyze how I want to utilize this area. And I think some of that is going to change with me changing the type of planner that I'm using slightly. But this is a page that I forget about. I will say that when I was using this as my AM and PM tracker for these specific days, like that worked really well. I just need to remember I need to come back here more often and make it part of my routine. The other page in here that I didn't really utilize very much is actually these pages in the back that are just like extra pages of various different things. I wanted to do the 365 tracker, but I never did. I forget it's all the way here in the back. It's in a location I don't really turn to. So I think that is why. A lot of this has to do with the way my brain works and the way my ADHD appears. What I will say is that the AM and PM routines help me to use my planner. I have AM and PM routines that involve checking in with my calendar. And if I'm looking at it as one of the last things I do during the day, because I'll sit down and I'll do a brain dump and kind of set up the next day. And if I'm checking in first thing in the morning, so I'm looking at it, I tend to use it more. The only other thing that I didn't really use very much is in my sterling ink, which I have right here. Sorry, you guys. I do have these gold breakdown pages and quarterly. Well, I didn't use this at all this year, which is their tracking pages. And then I also have these pages. And while I utilized the perpetual calendar a lot more here, this is where I list all of my videos. That's really helpful for me. I did the previous year track, stats in these areas, and I found that more helpful. So I think I want to go back to that. I'm not utilizing this space as much as I should for the quarterly breakdown. I want to try incorporating that more this next year. And I definitely didn't come back to this. I set it all up and I spent a lot of time doing it. But did I really come back here and figure it out? No. So I think that is a downfall on my part. And I think that's all really the extra pages you get in this one. But as you can see, I do have good weeks and I do have bad weeks. It just depends. I think that's everything from what did I forget and what am I using? Why did planning fall off? We all have times where planning doesn't go as smoothly. We forget to use it and everything. And looking at why that happens is really important. And for me, whenever that happens, it's usually because the mental load is too much and I'm not making time for everything. And I just feel so overwhelmed that I don't do it. But it's also a two-edged sword because when I don't do it, it leads to more overwhelm. When I am using my planner, I have a very different perspective and I really need that to keep my mental health where it needs to be. But down here, I put mental health and overwhelm. Next, for question 4, what helped when struggling? This kind of leads from that last question. And honestly, the biggest thing that helped me whenever I was struggling was using my daily pages, making sure that I was consistent, writing everything down, be it my AM and PM routine, so I could check them off each day, to-do lists, to what was my schedule that day. Sometimes I use it as what's called a to-do list or a what I actually did. So I might use my weekly as this is the plan, and then my daily as this is what actually happened. And sometimes that's a kind of fascinating project where you can see the difference. And I really like having the versatility of both of those things. I liked my AM and PM routines. As I said, it really helped me be consistent. And the creative flexibility with these particular types of planners really works well for me because with my ADHD brain, I often want to change things up, try something different. A lot of these will look alike, but we also have ones that are completely different depending on my mood, depending on my needs and what's going on, what stickers are really gravitating towards me at the time. Everything from washi tape to what are these? A5 wide stickers to, sweet kawaii designs, journaling stickers and leftovers. It just really depends. And I like having the versatility in not only how I'm decorating, but how I'm planning. I can have big list here if I want to. I can divide it up in different ways. It's kind of like a bullet journal with kind of a base already set there for you. Number 5 is what felt wasteful. And this, I thought the yearly tracker was a little wasteful for me because I didn't use it. Some of the hidden sections that I talked about previously really weren't utilized. So maybe I don't need some of those sections. Now, finding a planner that has everything is hard. So don't be surprised if you find a planner that has extra pages that you don't use. That's totally normal. I just want to make sure we say that because I think there's this expectation that you're going to use every page in your planner. And the reality is we don't. We use most of the pages. We use the pages that work for us, but not every page. Number 6 is what behaviors supported planning. So I think setting my Sunday planning time because that works in my brain for setting up for the week. It gives me the perfect opportunity to sit down and kind of decompress and prep for the week is really important. My daily brain dumps in the evening, so I know what changes have happened, what are priorities, what's going on, that kind of thing really helped me. Setting up the next day that evening after I do that brain dump also is really helpful, and doing my morning check ins. I also think decorating the spreads is really helpful from a mental health perspective for me because it helps me have a creative outlet, for lack of a better way of putting it, but an area of self care where I'm prioritizing myself without maybe interfering with anybody else. So, that type of thing. Um, the other thing I will say on here is that as I'm getting more and more into fountain pens, I feel like that is also helping. And we'll touch on that, I think, a little bit more in some of these next questions. So, question number 7 is, what did your planner make you feel? And this is really simple. It made me feel hopeful, less overwhelmed, and more in control. I really liked the overall aspect. That's why I'm so addicted to my planner. If we can, is planning an addiction? I'm not really sure. Anyhow, number 8 is, what habits do you want to grow? So, what things do I want to be better about? I want to be better on my handwriting. I bought books last year to do handwriting exercises and never worked with them. I want to be more consistent both in my channel and in my planners. I'm pretty consistent, but I still have days that I miss. So I'd like to have that as a more consistent thing. I want to be stronger in my goal um, integration and making sure I'm doing all the things with the fact that I use the Moxie Life and I have the Sterling ink, making sure I mesh the two of those a little bit more. And I want to add in some gratitude practice because I've felt over the last year, especially with the political environment and all of the other world things going on, that it's so easy to slip into that trap of anxiety, and nothing is ever good enough and nothing is ever okay. So I need to find those moments in life of joy and gratitude. And I think incorporating that will help. I also, kind of to go with the handwriting, I want to make sure that I'm appreciating these amazing pens that I've purchased and the beautiful inks and utilizing them more, and maybe making something that is just for them. And I want to support some of my hobbies a little bit more. Number 9 is, what do I need in a planner? My number one thing, because it was the number one thing that hindered my planning, I think, this year, besides my mental health obstacles, was fountain pen friendly paper. So I know absolutely I need a planner that is going to support me playing with my fountain pens. I also love the A5 size. It's really the perfect size for me personally. It's easy to carry around for me. It's not too heavy. I like, having everything together. Smaller than that, and I lose it. Honestly, I'll set it down somewhere and not remember where it is. And I just love the versatility of the size, and I like the flexible layouts. Like I said, I feel like it's kind of like a Bujo or bullet journaling setup, only with some structure already there for you, so I don't have to draw it in. I like dated daily pages that helps keep me accountable. So when I do miss a number of pages, it helps me to be like, oh, I need to get back into this, and helps me to just know each day. And that was a big obstacle with having a Sterling ink as an everyday carry. So I know that that is important to me. The monthly, weekly, and daily pages for my catch-all are essential. I know I want some goal setting because I want to continue to move forward in different things. And I know that I need a daily task area and brain dump area. So those are the things that I ideally need in my planner. I think it's really important to look at those before you pick out your planner, and also understand, and I didn't put it in here, but understand what your needs are in your planners. Like, what do you want to track? What do you want to do in that planner? I already have those kind of mapped out, so I didn't address that in this, but it is something you really need to look into as you're picking out your planner for next year. And then number 10 is, what does an ideal planning day look like? So, what I said is that in the morning, I check in with my planner. I maybe, catch up my to-do list, write any extra things that are going to happen, make sure I know what appointments are going to happen, those type of things. I'll often reference my weekly spread to make sure I have everything, but it also allows me to, if things have changed, make sure I put those in. In an ideal world, I'm coming back to it several times throughout the day. I kind of put midday check in, but the honest truth is, I do task and I come back and I check things off and I figure out what's the next thing I need to do. And that's kind of how my brain works best. Then in the evening after dinner, I want to sit down. I want to do a brain dump of everything that we need to do for the next day. I want to set up my planner for the next day. I want to make sure everything's all set before I go to bed, so I don't have to try and keep all of those things in my brain and I can relax a little bit more. I think if I had to add anything in here, it would be that I also want to add in time to journal. I'm not exactly sure when that's going to be. I have been doing that a little bit on a app, and I think I might continue to do that, but we'll see. And my last question was, what is the aesthetic I want for next year? What do I want my planner to look like and feel like, and all of those things? And for me, I want to continue to have that hope and security that a planner gives me. I also want it to be beautiful. I want it to be simple. I want it to be classic. I want to have creative versatility and flexibility in my spreads. And I want to use more stamps and more sustainable things. I want to use more of the products I already own opposed to buying more things. And I just want to enjoy writing in it a little bit more this year. So that is my overall planner review. Tomorrow, we're going to do my new planner stack and go over what planners I decided to use for this next year. I'm excited to hear, what was your planning year like? What are the things that you learned about planning from this last year in your process that you're going to be taking into this next year? I think the biggest takeaway I have is that I love my fountain pens, and when they're not working on the paper, it really detracts and lessens my enjoyment in the planning process, which I found surprising since I haven't been into fountain pens that long, but I love using them. Anyhow, that's all I have for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and until next time, I'll see you real soon.